and welcome to Underneath the Hat. I'm your host, Cherie Simmons, and this is my guest. Some of you may have seen her in other videos. This is Miranda Chinell. And because this month is March, which is Women's History Month, I decided to invite Miranda so that we could just have a conversation about women on the move. So welcome, Miranda.
Thank you. Glad to be back. Thank you for having me.
All right, so tell us how you're a woman on the move.
Oh goodness. I am probably a woman on the move because I never stop moving. Constantly ripping and running, working in ministry, working a full-time 9 to 5, working in entrepreneurship. I'm also a single mom. I have 2 boys, and they have their own agendas and lives that they have to do. So in trying to balance all of that, it literally keeps me on the go.
Okay. And with me, I'm a 9 to 5. I'm a STEM coach in Chicago Public Schools, and I have my book that's out. I'm doing my mentoring program called Young Ladies at All Times. I don't have any children yet, but we're working on it. So between my husband and doing the different businesses and things that I have, church, I just joined Chicago Mass Choir.
Oh, congratulations.
So, thank you. It's like a lot going on. So I can totally understand having so much to do. And so how do you find time to take care of Miranda?
So the social worker in me tells me not to tell y'all the truth and say that I don't.
Okay.
But a lot of times I don't. It often takes like my body shutting down for me to realize, okay, I have to take a time out. I'm starting to get sick. I have to sit down. My back is starting to hurt. It's time to go get a massage. Our bodies have a way of telling us, hey girl, you're doing too much. And for me, that's usually how it happens. Just because there's only 24 hours in a day and I need like 29 to really be able to get everything done from day to day. When I do finally sit down, I try to make sure that I'm doing something I really want to do. Like, I'm a nerd by nature, so I like to read. I like to write outside of the writing that I do for my business. You know, I like to journal. I like to do poetry. I'm really super deep, girl. Okay. But I like to shop. Like, retail therapy is real. It's bad for my budget, but it's good for my spirit. You know, so when I have those moments and to spend time with family and people that I love, I try to soak up as much as I can soak up because they're few and far between.
So do you find God making you slow down, or do you actually create time in your schedule to have self-care?
No, God literally sits me down. Because I always feel, I just kind of function from a place where everybody is the priority. And I think just as women, especially women who are trying to become established in the things that we're doing, it's easy to fall into that type of routine where I've got to be this for this person, I've got to be that for that person, I need to be here, I need to support this, I need to show up for them because I want them to show up for me, I need to write, I need to build, I need to go to work, I need to, I need to wear all of the hats at the same time. And so I don't have enough time to say, okay, this piece needs to be Miranda's time. Like even in praying, that's not Miranda's time because that's God's time. Right. So even in that, that's not my time. Being a single mom, like being in the shower ain't my time. My kids are like, oh, you can take a shower? Okay, I'll go get my iPad. I'll be back. And you be like, but no, right. Okay, well, I guess we're going to listen to Bubble Guppies or whoever while we're in here. So I don't really, my schedule doesn't afford me a whole lot of time for me to carve out specific time for Miranda. Not Miranda Chinell, not the brand, not the businesswoman, not her, but just me, the girl underneath that. Right. You know?
Yeah. And for me, God, ever since I started being an entrepreneur and realizing that this is God's purpose for me, I have been moving so fast that it only takes Him to stop me. Just last week, I was in bed, ready to get up to go to work, and He was like, no, you're not going today. And I'm like, but I feel okay. Like, I got stuff to do. He was like, no, I need you to go to the movies. I need you to go get a massage, go get your nails done. You're not going. And when I was telling someone the story, I realized that because I'm doing what he wants me to do, I'm doing his work, that the things that I normally would get tired of quickly aren't making me tired. So it's him pushing me to make sure that I take time out for myself in order to make sure that I can continue on with the journey that he has me on.
Yes.
So with us being women on the move, we all have people that we look up to or that help us to get to where we are today. So who would you say are some of your role models?
Well, my role models have always been my grandparents. They kind of have been my role models in all aspects of my life. They have they worked together from the time that they were 15 until my grandfather took his last breath a couple years ago. And so they were always the example of what marriage looked like, of what parenthood looked like, of what entrepreneurship looked like. My grandfather was in the music business. He was a music producer. And so I remember the stories that my grandmother used to tell me if he would have a 9 to 5, but he would be in the bathroom writing songs on toilet paper because that was his dream, and he knew he had to make it. But at the same token, he knew he had a wife and he knew he had a family that he still had to take care of. So it was trying to figure out, how do I live my dream while still making sure that I'm not creating a nightmare? And so I grew up in a multi-generational household. I grew up in the house with my grandparents. So I saw make it work. I saw figure it out. I saw sacrifice. I saw forgiveness. I saw chase the dream until you catch it, And then I saw the manifestations of what happens after that. I saw the gold records on the walls and the Grammys and things of that such. And so just in having the opportunity to take in so much of them, I was, 33, 34 when I lost my grandfather. And so there are not very many people who can say that they got to have that much of their grandparents of an influence in their life. And so the two of them have always been my go-to. And it's no shade to my parents, but what my grandparents had and what they created, literally up till the last words that they said to each other, I knew, that's what I wanted. I want to have a love like that. I want to build businesses like that. I want the support like that. I want the house like that, the family like that. That is what I wanted to do. And so that was like my immediate inspiration. At this point, I have a mentor. She's phenomenal. Will gut check me in a minute. No. This is what you're not gonna do. This is what you're not gonna say. We come on up out your feelings. Go cry about it, pray about it, get yourself up, try again. And so we need those types of people in our life in order to continue to move, because we'll get stuck if we don't.
Well, people that I actually look up to, and I think we have these people in common, is Sarah Jakes.
Oh, I love her. Child.
Iyanla Vanzant.
My best friend in my head.
Oh my God. I tried to find people that were where I wanted to be. And that's one thing about me with the circle of friends that I have. If we're not in the same mindset, if I'm the smartest one in the group, then it's not a smart group. So I need people around me that are where I want to be.
Absolutely.
Or that know how I can get there and will gut check me, as you said. So with Sarah Jakes Roberts, I just love the fact that she's so transparent with her story, that we're around the same age, and that she's not afraid to tell the things that she went through and what she learned from them. She's the pure example of finding your purpose through the pain. And so with the story that I have, that I share in my book, then I want women to be able, and men too, to be able to realize that we all suffer. We've all gone through things underneath the hat, but that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And then with Iyanla Vanzant, my therapy started with her. So I call her Auntie Iyanla. I was watching her last night. So just the things that I've heard from her in helping me to be better and to check myself when other people around me wouldn't do it, then now I'm more compassionate and understanding of other people that I at first wasn't. Because I didn't understand why they made some of the choices that they made. And so after going through what I went through and then hearing their stories, now I understand, okay, we all have our issues, we all have our flaws, but what can you learn from them?
And being able to just get past other people's stuff. You know what I mean? I think that so many times we get stuck in the place that we're in because we're too busy trying to figure out why they didn't do right, or why they didn't say this, or why they didn't love us enough, or why they didn't clap loud enough, or why, you know, that list goes on and on and on. And before we know it, we've become stagnant because we're stuck staring at people who are not even in the picture anymore. Trying to figure out what we could have done better to make it better back then, when in reality, the stuff that broke us back then was so that we could create a better foundation to build in the future. And so we have to get to a place where we understand that sometimes there's a purpose in the breaking. You know what I mean? And yes, it hurts and it's painful, and that healing process sucks sometimes. You know, that transparency, that healing, that being honest with ourselves, that forgiving them when they don't deserve it, then forgiving ourselves for letting it happen time and time again. Like, that process goes on for a long time, but that's the only way. If you don't tear up all of that stuff, all of it, like from the root, no matter, as nice as this floor is laid, if underneath it, it was not broken up correctly, it wouldn't be able to sustain anything that you put on it. And so sometimes that tearing up process, I don't have no other words to say than it just sucks. But there's a purpose in it. And so if we could look a little deeper in the moment. No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear your scriptures. I don't want you to tell me to pray about it. Stop telling me to be like Nehemiah and stay on the wall. I'm tired of being on the wall. You know what I mean? Like, we, especially us that are Christians, there are some cliches that I think we just throw out because we really think like, this is what I'm supposed to say. No, you're not supposed to say nothing. Like, because it had to happen. It had to happen for us to get to the place that God ultimately wanted us to get to. And we thought we were going to get there with one group of people, or in one setting, or in one area. And God was like, no, that's not it. Like, you thought that you were called to preach in a church. You weren't. Like, this is your church. Oh, okay. You know, you thought you were called to minister to these people. No. It's those people over there. Like, we think, oh, well, we're in Chicago, and so I want to be on, you know, whoever's platform. What if that's not the platform? What if the chaos that you're running into is because you're in a place that he's trying to run you out of? And we don't always want to take that, you know? And so that's the part that I love about Sarah Jakes. Her story was jacked up in the beginning. And, you know, I couldn't imagine being 13 and the daughter of T.D. Jakes and pregnant. I could hardly take the whispers when I was 25 and the daughter of my own parents who weren't in ministry, and I was pregnant without a husband. So I couldn't begin to imagine being half that age. But getting through it, and her being honest about, I jumped into this marriage that I shouldn't have been in. And these are the things that happen. But after, you know, we have to wait for the but after. And a lot of times we don't want to, because we want it fixed right away. I know I talked in my own videos about my own personal issue was that I wanted the purpose as quickly as the pain came. Like, okay, this pain came fast, I want the purpose to come fast.
Me too.
The stripping came fast, I want the restoration to come fast. The stealing came fast, I want my refill back. Just as quickly as I went through that stuff, I want the blessing on the other side of it. And it does not work like that. So we have to get to a place where we can tell ourselves, where we can ayanla ourselves, you know, and beloved ourselves into, no, you're not going to run from this time.
Right. So being an entrepreneur has its peaks and valleys.
It does.
So what would you say has been some of the peaks for you of being an entrepreneur?
The peaks for me, I think, as an entrepreneur is definitely the exposure and the networking. I have gotten to meet some phenomenal people. I would more so say probably in the last year or so, the last year and a half, my business has opened doors that I didn't even have to knock on. Like that whole, there's people saying your name in rooms you're not in, that stuff is legit and it's real. And so Dr. Eric Brown spoke, I went to the NIAD conference. I'm gonna put you on. You'll have to come to Houston with us.
Okay.
His wife, Dr. Mimi Brown, hosts the NIAD conference, but he was speaking and he said the greatest gift that anybody can give you is exposure. And so that has been the highest peak of entrepreneurship, is the exposure, is being able to be connected to people that I wouldn't have been able to connect to before. You know, people would believe like, oh, it's the photo shoots and it's the flyers, and that's the fun, cute stuff, but it's being able to really connect and minister to folks in a way that doesn't look like ministry. You know, like I don't want the collar and the ankle dresses and all of that. Like that's just, that's a little bit out of my box. But I just want to be able to reach the hearts of the people. You know, and so entrepreneurship, that has been the greatest peak, I think, is the exposure and the connections that I've made.
My biggest peak has been similar to you, the exposure, because I'm an introvert. So the fact that I'm doing this right now is out of the box for me. I'm very quiet. I can be by myself. I'm good. And to be able to have conversations with people and come outside of myself in order to help someone else, I never realized that the pain that I had gone through would lead to this. And so I'm just happy about the fact that I'm finding who I am through entrepreneurship. And being able to help others in the process is just a bonus. Now, what is something that you would consider a valley?
It's expensive.
It's very expensive.
Listen. I already told you, like, retail therapy is my thing, right? Like, I enjoy a good shoe. Let me catch a good sale. Like, I'm in my happy place. Add a cup of coffee, I'm really there. Like, we good. Building a business costs you. And research shows that you're going to spend more in the first 3 years than you're going to make. And so these beginning stages of getting established and creating your brand and networking and building websites and traveling to this place and being there, taking gigs that people can't afford to pay you for because, you know, good exposure is better than money sometimes. It costs. You can't show up in the same clothes every time you go somewhere. You have to be strategic. And so if you are not prepared to sacrifice in some other areas, your finances can fail you. Like, there is this stigma right now about quit your day job. Don't quit your day job. Like, and stop shading those of us who go to work from 9 to 5. My 9 to 5 is my greatest investment right now because I know that money is going to hit the account every 2 weeks. I know it for a fact. I'm salaried. I know to the penny how much is coming in. And so we have to get to a place where we can be honest about, like, this thing is going to cost you in so many different areas. It's cost me in my finances. It's cost me some relationships. It's cost me some pieces of myself, some shedding of myself. If I go back and I look through who I was when I first started Moments with Miranda and who I am as Miranda Chinell today and building my brand and establishing my character, it cost me a lot. And that's some stuff that I will never be able to get back. And so at the end of the day, like, if you can't trust that what it is that you're doing is worth all that you may potentially have to pay, then you need to really consider if that's what you're supposed to do. Because there's a kick right now. Everybody need to build a business. Sell lashes, hair out the back of your car, socks, towels, you know, whatever it is you need to do. Like, get on some type of hustle. And I'm with that, and I support that. But if you're not willing to pay the cost, don't sign up to be the boss. Like, ain't that James Brown?
Yes,
pay the cost to be the boss.
Is that James Brown?
I think that's James Brown.
So with money, it costs a lot of money. I was sitting with my husband. What was that? The beginning of this year, we were calculating how much I spent last year. Like, oh my God, where did it come from? First off, But then all I think about is the 2 fish experience.
Yes.
Where God had 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, and he fed thousands of people. And every time I think, I don't know if this is going to happen, another head grows on. So it's because of God that I've been able to do this.
Absolutely.
And I heard one of my former guests, Aisha Hurston, say that entrepreneurship is you saying yes to God's purpose. So I'm like, okay, well, because I'm saying yes to what he wants me to do, then that's why he's allowing all of these opportunities to open up.
Yeah.
And for me to sit and calculate at the end of the year how much has been put out, but not understanding how it happened. So because it costs so much, what would you say is one thing that as entrepreneurs you definitely need to invest in?
Branding. Your brand is everything.
Yep.
And that's an investment into yourself. Like, you need to build the brand. You need to know who you are and who it is that you're trying to become, so that that can be consistent. People who have good brands, you don't forget them. You don't forget McDonald's. You always know, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. You know what I'm saying? You know those colors. You know the arches. You know Burger King is have it your way. You know Target. You know what I mean? Those brands are specific, and they put a lot of money into creating that. But the flip side of that is, while you're creating that brand and while you're building it, you need to pay for the protection. You need to pay to have your stuff trademarked. Pay to have your stuff copywritten. Pay to have your business LLC'd and licensed in the state that you're in. Invest in the foundation of your business, because when people start to see, oh, underneath the hat, the web series is taking off. You don't have that trademarked, they can slide in and steal all of your stuff, and there's nothing legally that you can do about it. But it's going to cost you to trademark it. It's going to cost you to get an attorney to do it correctly. Could we do it ourselves? Probably. But if by chance the federal government decides, defend this, do you have the time and the energy to defend something on a legal federal level? Right. I don't. So that's where you got to start. And I think that as you start to build your brand and as you start to establish yourself legally, then the rest of the little pieces naturally start to fall in place. Your slogan starts to fall in place. Your color scheme starts to fall in place. Your exposure starts to fall in place, because now you've built these other connections, even on larger levels. Come outside of your box. Connect to people who know more than you. Get an attorney. Get an accountant. Not your cousin who do taxes on TurboTax.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Find you a CPA, somebody who went to school for this. People are so big on, I don't have the degree, but the people with the degrees are now working for me. Yeah, but you're also paying somebody with a degree to keep you out of jail, or you end up looking like the rest of our cousins now, talking about you didn't know that nobody was paying your taxes, and now you going to jail or you owe a lot of money. Educate yourself so that when you do things and you launch, you're doing it in order, and you're doing it in a legal way that doesn't potentially fall and tear up your legacy. Like, I want to build a place and a space where my children will inherit businesses and property, and will be able to travel the world and have those types of experiences. Not have 99 pair of Jordans by the time they're 12. Right. So invest wisely. You know, where are you spending your money? What are you spending your money on? Where can you save? How can you barter with people to build relationships of, look, I can't afford the service that you're providing, but I can give you this if you can give me that. I have a couple of clients right now where I know that they cannot afford what I do, but I need what you do. So let's work this out this way. Here's this non-disclosure. We're not going to tell anybody that this is the way it's working and this is the way that our contract is written. So at the end of the day, you're getting your needs met and I'm getting my needs met, and there's no loss on anybody's side. Because again, those finances add up quickly. So you find some people with character who understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur just launching. It's a lot in the beginning. Yes, it is. I would say the one thing you should invest in is a media agent, someone who can put your name out there. Yeah, that's good stuff. I think God Fidelis will create your media story. Look her up. She's in Atlanta.
But I talk to her every week. She's sending me 4 and 5 podcasts, interviews, anything that I can get my name out there, networking events. And because I'm still trying to figure out social media myself, she does everything. So the money that I invest in her is perfect. Because every Monday I'm getting 4 and 5 dings of different things that I could be doing in order to put myself out there, to put my brand out and to have exposure. So definitely a media agent, because once you start getting busy with things, you may not have the opportunity to go out there and see what else you can do.
You won't.
So with it being the topic of women on the move, and us being African American women,
all of our lives,
we sometimes hit that wall where when people want to go into business with us, they have this issue of the bitch syndrome, where when we're aggressive and assertive, or have a belief in something that may be different than them, then we're characterized as the bitch. So how do you deal with that, being an entrepreneur, and making sure that your vision is still held up, your integrity is not wavered, so that you can get the product or thing out there that you're trying to sell?
I think that varies from circumstance to circumstance. It really does depend on who you're working with. I think that number one, you need to have a spirit of discernment of a certain, whether you're spiritual or not. In the church world, we call it a spirit of discernment. In the streets, trust your gut.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if it feels wrong, it probably is. And so sometimes those are just relationships that you don't need to go into.
Yeah.
That's fine. This isn't gonna work. That's okay. Guest star.
Right. KB, my dog.
And that's okay. And knowing that every connection isn't a good connection, and you being okay with that.
Right.
You gotta know for yourself who you are. You know if you're a bitch or not. There are some days where I walk out of music and go, oh, Miranda, you gave them a lot. And that's just, being honest with ourselves, because sometimes we are. Like, yes, it's easy to throw the stamp on us, or the angry black woman, or she's too assertive, or she thinks she can do it all by herself. But when you've been programmed to figure out how to make everything happen by yourself, it's very hard to turn that off. And so sometimes we have to teach ourselves how to turn that down if we want to get into certain rooms. Once you get into that room and you establish yourself, then you can turn it back up a little bit. But know your audience, so that when you present yourself as a piece that fits into their puzzle, because you're trying to get into the space that they're already in.
Right. Well, Auntie Yana, a couple of episodes ago, said that bitch meant being in total control of herself. So I truly do believe that there are moments where you can be considered that, because you know what your purpose is, you know what your goal is, you have your expectations. So I don't mind being called that, as long as you respect me and understand that this is what I'm here for, this is how it's going to be. I'm not wavering on what my expectations are. And I've actually cut ties with people because they felt like I was too hard on them, when actually I was just telling the truth as I saw it. So I definitely feel that sometimes you have to make sure that you let people know that this is what I stand for, this is what my expectations are. So as we wind down, I have one more question. What advice would you give to upcoming women on the move?
Keep doing it. When one door closes, keep going until you find another door. If those doors don't open, build the door and open it yourself. It's so easy to become discouraged. It's easy to become overwhelmed. Take a break, regroup, and come back. Don't ever, ever, ever give up on the dream and the purpose that you know that God has put in your life. If you're not sure if that's what your purpose is, figure that out before you go invest in a whole bunch of money. But don't ever give up on yourself. You are always the gift. And you can apply that to wherever you want to apply it in your life. But if you can remember that you're the gift, then the gift is what excites the room. The gift is what excites the person. The gift is what people are looking forward to. And so you have to keep pushing yourself so that you can always be the gift.
And to piggyback on that, I would say that you need to know who you are.
Absolutely.
You first need to make sure that, regardless of what happens, who comes in the room, what they say, that you can still stand firm in what your gift is and what your purpose is. Because every room is not going to say yes. Everybody in the room is not going to agree with you. Everyone in the room is not going to like you. Right. But you still need to be able to leave that room and still feel that you've done what you have been called to do.
Absolutely.
So before we go, since it's Women on the Move, we got a plug.
Okay.
So I'll let you go first. Tell us some of the things that you're working on and continue. Tell some of the things that you're working on,
okay,
so that people out there will know.
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Moments with Miranda. Everything that you need to know is found on Facebook or Instagram. Check out my website, www.mirandachinell.com, available for mentoring, coaching, or consulting. Whatever it is that you need, I just try to be the person that people need in their life for whatever purpose it is that I can fulfill. So I won't, take up too much of your commercial time.
Bless you.
Bless you.
And you can find me on SherriSimmons.com. That's SHERRI Simmons, SIMMONS. And all of my upcoming events are there. Please like, subscribe to the page, share it so that we can reach out to other women and young women who are on the move. And as we get ready to close out, I want to thank Miranda Chinell for coming.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And sharing her thoughts and perspectives on being a woman on the move. And until next time, I want you all to continue to take care of yourselves underneath the hat.